Hi, my name is George Fiedler. I am a retired registered nurse of 35 years. I worked in critical care, I worked in the emergency room, and I specialized in pediatrics towards the end of my career. Presently, I'm helping people that have cancer and maybe at the end of their treatments that are not working, either radiation or chemotherapy. So I help them navigate for clinical trials and help them with paperwork, the FDA, talking to physicians, interpreting um, medical jargon for them so that they understand where they are. Uh, and I consider it my tithe. I don't charge for my assistance to help those that are sick and need some help that way. I was born and raised on Long Island, Suffolk County, and I had several family members that were there that I helped during my career. And I spent a lot of my time here in Endicott, New York, because my mother was born here. She lived on Jackson Avenue, just behind the A&P, about 3 or 4 houses down. And I would visit every summer since I was in footed pajamas. So I'm aware of the area, and I have a lot of memories of Endicott Johnson, and everybody told me about the history of Endicott Johnson, the homes that they built, the hospital that they built, schools as well, and everything about the mindset of Endicott Johnson. Uh, I am aware of what's going on now because I came here for a visit in November for Thanksgiving, and I decided to stay for a while so I could spend a few weeks reminiscing and taking pictures of where I grew up since a child, staying with my noni and my no-no on Jackson Avenue. Um, I was asked by a member of No Burn Broom, who happens to be a relative of mine, to assist with what was happening here. And I started doing some research, and in the middle of it, COVID struck. So, considering I had just moved up here from Florida after being 27 years, I had to stay where I was because I couldn't go back to Florida, and because of COVID, I couldn't go back to Long Island, so I stayed and am helping the cause to halt the application from SMCC, which is a recycling combination incineration unit application for lithium ion batteries. And I want to make one thing perfectly clear. I'm of the generation that recycling is a very big word. And when recycling started, the definition was basically separation. Paper, plastic, glass. Further separation would be green glass, brown glass, clear glass, milk glass. Recycling would be paper and cardboard and all the different plastics. As it got a little bit more involved, we got a little bit technical, whereby things like this could be reused, especially glass, especially plastic. Plastic was making synthetic lumbers that didn't deteriorate very well. Paper was being recycled to make recycled paper bags, recycled boxes. Very interesting. I'm also of the generation, so many, that things that have happened as far as recycling. We have now electric cars, golf carts, and they've discovered that lithium is a very excellent material to store energy. And what's so important about that, not only can it store, it can actually be recharged without throwing away this battery and having to make a new one. It can be rechargeable. And then the application came to cars. Then the application came to computers, cell phones, laptops, iPads, Game Boys, flashlights, rechargeable flashlights. Of course, rechargeable tools, DeWalt, Black & Decker, Milwaukee. You name it, lithium is in these batteries. They're made with certain products, plastics and chemicals. And so they start investigating, because of the low availability in the United States of the lithium in mining, They decided that it would be important to see if it could be recycled and saved to decrease the amount of mining in the effort to have cleaner air, cleaner water, which mining causes a disruption of the same. Dirty water, dirty air. So this company wants to come here as a partner of South Korea, company named Sungil High Tech, and has a partner company, Sungil High Metal. They're going to be at 801 Clark Street on the corner of Roble Avenue. It's a building that was used by IBM that has 2 smokestacks. As time went on, I gleaned a lot of information from the people that were in the committee investigating these issues, and we found some alarming material that we shared with the people in public, and that we shared also with the village of Endicott mayor, deputy mayor, and the trustees in the presence of their lawyer. Also listened to all the videotaped, either voice or videos of the company. Main person of that company is Danish Mir. Of course, we investigated everything that was said and everything that was shared. We had very, very primitive drawings of what the plant would be like. Some of the science didn't match up with what they were saying. There was a lot of word salad that we had to discover things that were a little bit deeper. Some of the chemicals we've already know are carcinogenic. They can cause cancer. In hearing all of this, and because I'm from here, I understood what the industry of Endicott Johnson brought to Endicott that was beneficial. But what we know now about chemicals, they didn't know then. And one of the major chemicals was benzene that was investigated to become a carcinogenic agent, and it was used exclusively in the glue that glued shoes soles to the bottom of army boots, and also shoes for women and men and children that Endicott Johnson manufactured. The study actually moved to Italy because they were shoe manufacturing over there and used benzene in their glue as well, because there were some issues with cancer, specifically acute myelogenous leukemia. As time went on, decades later, it is now proven that benzene does cause cancer. Unfortunately, after being a nurse for about 6-7 years, I was blessed to be able to take care of a younger brother, my brother John, who died at the age of 29 from leukemia, and he had deep exposure to benzene as a master carpenter. 6 months later, I myself was diagnosed with testicular cancer. Basically, you could say that I was from this area. I remember the sweet smell of benzene. Most people don't know that benzene, being so aromatic, you would never think that it would be dangerous. They actually used it as an aftershave lotion because it smelled so good. But now we know something different. Sungil, we're talking about dioxins. We are talking about PFAs and PFOs that we also know is a pollutant, and many areas, if not just human beings, have it in their bodies. It's a water-soluble and fat-soluble product, and there are literally hundreds of combinations that form them. Unfortunately, they're in the majority of the lithium-ion batteries. This technology that's being brought here is brand new, and they admit that. They have no tests to show what came from South Korea. We have a couple of tests over a period of alleged 11 years that Sungil in South Korea was operating, but we haven't seen any testing over those 11 years, just a spot test. They're not trustworthy. The DEC has finally responded to us. So have the surrounding municipalities and legislators now writing letters and understanding what we're sharing. The only municipality that's having issue is our mayor, our deputy mayor, and one of our other trustees that is not listening to the public. And there are literally thousands of us that have been writing letters to them. They're not listening. They say they are listening, but they're not hearing. We've sent them all the paperwork. They are standing by and have not thwarted the movement of Sunjil coming here, and they should. Let's get back to recycling. It is very important, and No Burn Broom is not against recycling. We know that it's important. We know that it's very important, but let's do it smart. We know of half a dozen ways that this can be done without any incineration whatsoever. And when I say incineration, I'm talking about having to destroy chemical bonds that are toxic, and that even the suggestion by a simple accident, because it's going to be humans actually operating in the factory, there would be no accidents with one of the 6 methods that are non-incineration. It's a leaching. It's done in solution and leached out. There's ionic technology that takes the metals in purification in greater than the 95th percentile to produce pure resource out of these batteries: copper, cobalt, lithium, manganese, aluminum, and others. Why are we rushing to do this state-of-the-art technology that there will be temperatures greater than 1,000 degrees required to make sure the PFAs and PFOs that we know are endocrine disruptors? That means in your body it could disrupt pituitary gland, thyroid, parathyroid gland, adrenal gland, thymus gland. It plays around with all those things that have to do with our growth and our development, none of which can be filtered by the placenta of a pregnant mother. And here we're talking the beginning on a cellular level of a fertilized egg, 3, 4, 5, 6 cells being exposed to these things that could very well be already in the air from the incineration of these batteries in a minuscule amount. Sunjil is very cavalier and states that they are sure that only 100 pounds of dangerous waste will come out of the stack. 100 pounds per year only. They don't show the proof of it. They've never run the machine. They've done no testing from a stack. They're only doing mathematics on paper and assuming. It is assumption. We all know what an assumption is. An assumption after the fact of starting maybe 5 or 10 years down the road, just like IBM, 10, 20 years in operation, there's this chemical spill. People suffered, documented, studied by Department of Health. Endicott Johnson, basically innocent because we didn't have the knowledge. 20, 40, 50 years later, we find out that there's genetic disorders, malformations of neurotubular formation in the womb, meaning formation of the brain, formation of the spinal cord, birth defects, low birth weights, spontaneous abortions. These are the things that have to be studied. Researching them after Sunjil starts up just doesn't make sense. It is not safe. We do not have enough information. We're waiting for the technology that is available to us that is non-incineration, and we should wait for it. It's not that far around the corner. Jumping on the bandwagon has a lot to do with money and finances. Lastly, I want to share, recycling of things is good for America because it's resources that we can use and remake here in America. This incineration product is going to go to South Korea. Strategic metals that are used in the Department of Defense in the manufacture of our vessels that go underwater and float on water. Department of Defense. Why is it going to South Korea? I understand they're an ally of us. But where is South Korea geographically? Just below China. Guess who's the greatest resource of lithium and cobalt as we speak is China and South Korea. They have a tenuous relationship because they're in competition with each other. Why are we sending what we are going to recycle here to South Korea when we could do the recycling here safer without a Korean technology that is not safe for us? We do know that high metal, Sungil High Metal, which is an offshoot of Sungil High Tech, are the ones who are going to be leaching a safe technology to get all of these valuable metals. Why isn't America doing that? Why is America going to be polluting this technology, polluting American air in an area that has already been affected by 2 industries? They promise that it's going to bring homes building here, that people are going to come in droves to take a job with this company. I'm sorry. Why has the population almost steadily, just in the village of Endicott, remained between 12,000 and 15,000 for decades? For decades. Why aren't the streets in better condition if IBM did so much for us? Why are the buildings dilapidated and the Huron campus deteriorating if they were so good for us? What is Sungil going to do for us? We haven't heard. We need to stop and take a look at really what's happening. And everybody, I'm sharing with you, there's an old saying, believe nothing of what you hear and only half of what you see. And I would hope that you understand, I don't want you to believe a word I said. I don't want you to believe even a piece of paper or pictures that I could show. What that should do is stimulate you. It should encourage you, and I'm talking to the youth here, science majors, physics majors, chemistry majors, doctors, and lawyers. Do the research, look it up, learn yourself, and match up with what I'm saying, as well as Paul Connett, other scientists, John Ruspentini. We've been spending literally hundreds of hours, thousands of pages. We have 250 years of experience in reference to this chemistry, this science, the physics, the technology, the medicine about cancer and health. There's no reason for us. What do you think we want to stop this? Do you think that we want to interrupt economics here? We're doing it for what reason? What would be the reason? There is no other reason except to keep Endicott safe. We want clean technology. We want clean industry here. It's time for Endicott to graduate from old toys. Drop the old toys and pick up brand new toys. Clean industry, such as the manufacturing of textiles from hemp. Binghamton built a pharmaceutical college. Why don't we attract pharmaceutical companies that manufacture generic medications or other medications? Why aren't we in the business of manufacturing and assembling parts that are manufactured elsewhere, such as pulse oximeters that can measure our oxygen levels on our fingertips, or glucometers that measure blood sugar? Clean energy. Why don't we have factories that can make our own PPE? Why aren't we building ventilators? Why aren't we building our own clean energy? Nothing coming from stacks. Or if there's anything that requires the water, we have the technology and the know-how how to filter out water and save the water and filter it and make it new again. We don't need that which burns. We don't need that which needs to be crushed to make tons of dust. We don't need that which is going to pollute the water, which cannot be made brand new and polished. We don't need any more PFOAs. We need clean technology for manufacturing. So that's the industry that should be attracted here. We need a think tank. It's already in discussion to bring ideas, and they have to listen. Forget about the money and hordes of money. Money doesn't fix anything. If money was brought into us by Huron campus, or money was brought into us by IBM, why doesn't Endicott look better. Why are the dilapidated buildings still standing? They're monoliths. That is the first impression of the village. Let's build a park where the old IBM buildings are that are falling apart. Remove the overpass bridges from 3 different streets or wherever else they are. Open them up, put in a park, let's plant some trees, and use the present industrial park for clean industry. There's hundreds of possibilities, and we need to visit them before we say yes to Sungil. Thank you for listening.